Hey, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. And if you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Mel. And in this video, I want to talk about the number one thing that keeps nurses stuck in the nursing profession, even though they feel like they want to get out. They secretly want to leave. And you will not be able to leave nursing until you overcome this. No judgment, as usual. Safe space. So if you ever felt like you really wanted to leave nursing, but there's something holding you back, like you know that you don't want to stay there long term, but you feel like there's just this invisible force that's keeping you exactly where you are, or that keeps pulling you back, I can definitely relate to this because I have been in that same exact position. Quick intro, I am a former registered nurse and I now help nurses who want to transition out of nursing into entrepreneurship. I help you through the healing process of that journey, the transformative identity shifting process that occurs when you leave a stable profession, a quote unquote, I like to say stable profession like nursing, and you go into the world of entrepreneurship. It's quite the journey, but it's so worth it. So a lot of people feel like nursing is a good profession, right? A lot of people love nursing. Some people go into nursing because they love helping people, but some people go into nursing because of the money. Like the money is a part of it, right? You might think that the real reason that you stay stuck in nursing, even though you want to leave, is because of the money. Because it's good money, you get paid well, you get a stable, steady, consistent check coming in, right? The deeper underlying reason really has nothing to do with money. It's actually this one thing that I'm gonna talk about in this video. If you are stuck yourself, you secretly want out, you know that you're not meant to stay in nursing long term, but you know that you want to find a way out, then this video is definitely for you. Because a lot of times we go back and forth with our decisions, right? Especially when it's a big decision related to career or changing careers, or going through a different path that you thought that you would retire in, or that you would be in long term. But I just want to say that something that I like to say when it comes to people leaving careers and deciding to leave a career earlier than you expected is that we change so much throughout our lives. Like as people, we're always changing. Like that's a part of being human. That's a part of the human process. So logically, it doesn't make sense to expect somebody to stay in one role, one career for the rest of their lives, unless you're like one of the lucky people who, you're doing something that you truly love and that you're truly passionate about and that you feel aligned with. But a lot of us in society, we go into these jobs at such a young age, fresh out of high school, we go to college, you pick your major, you pick the thing that you want to do, you pick the career that you want to get into. And the funny thing is that we pick these careers at a young age, but we grow so much throughout our lifetime. So to expect somebody to stay in a career from I started my nursing career at 23. So to expect somebody to stay in a career from their early 20s to 60 something, or to retire in those careers, that's a big ask. Like that's a lot, because we change so much throughout our lifespan. Unless, like I said, you found that thing that you really enjoy and that you can't see yourself not doing, that you're super passionate about. So the number one thing that keeps most nurses stuck in their profession, even though they want to secretly leave, like even though they feel like it's time to leave, is the fear of being judged, the fear of judgment from other people, caring about what everybody else will think about your decision, right? We give other people so much weight sometimes when it comes to our lives and when it comes to the big decisions that we make within our lives. But we are in charge of our lives. Like we create our own destinies. We are the only ones who are living in the profession. Like you're the only one who really knows what it's like to be a nurse. You're the only one who really knows what it feels like to really feel the anxiety, the overwhelm, the stress, all of the emotions that come with being a nurse, especially a nurse at the bedside, right? So to have this fear about what somebody else will think about you leaving the nursing profession behind, when you really think about it, it does not make sense. Because they're not living your life, you live your life, and you only get one life to live. So I know like a lot of people think like, what will my family think? What will my partner think? What will my coworkers think? Like my teammates? What will people think about my decision to want to leave nursing? It's funny because every time in the past I would tell somebody that I was a nurse, they were always like super impressed and praised me for it. And it was just like this respect that they gave for my profession, right? And I feel like that is definitely appealing to the ego. So a lot of people feel like they don't want to disappoint the people who feel like that they made it. The people who feel like, you know, you got a good job, you're a nurse. What could you possibly have to complain about? You're making good money, you helping people, like it's a noble, respectable profession, right? And I just want you to know you're not weak for feeling this fear of judgment. You're not weak for wondering like what people will say, what people will think. But the goal of this video is to give you a little pep talk to let you know that it's okay to choose something different. Like it's okay to want something else outside of what was expected of you from yourself and from others. Just to share a little bit about my journey when I was in that place, of course, I was worried about what people would think. Like I thought about what my family would think, my parents, because they were really proud of me for being a nurse. My brothers was proud of me for being a nurse. Sister, nieces, nephews, you know, like they look up to you for it and you're often praised for it. So that adds weight to the decision. I'm like, okay, I want to step out of this profession and go into entrepreneurship, which is a totally different ball game. I haven't seen people in my family do it this way. So it's just a totally different perspective. It's a totally different journey that people don't understand. And it's not your job to try to get them to understand. It's not your job to convince them to be okay with your decision or that tug within your heart that is telling you that it's time to leave nursing. When I was in this place, it felt scary. It felt lonely because people didn't understand, or they wouldn't, or I assumed that people wouldn't understand. So it can be lonely. It can feel confusing because you done went to school all this time. You done, you know, put all this energy, time, and effort into becoming a nurse. But once you got into the profession, you realize that it just is not aligned with what you want to do long term. So this can be a very confusing, unsettling place to be in, and uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable. But when you think about what people might say or what people might think about your decision, or the fact that people might judge you for your decision, like that's only adding extra discomfort and worry and stress to your path and to your journey. So I want you to realize that this is deep systemic conditioning, okay? Societal conditioning that tells us that we have to stay in roles or stay in careers, professions, and we have to retire in professions, and we have to take into account what everybody else feels about our decisions. We have to weigh their judgments, thoughts, and critiques into what we choose, because we're taught to care more. Sometimes we're taught to care more about what other people think than what we truly feel and know within our hearts deep down. So we've been conditioned to self-sacrifice as nurses. We've been conditioned to take care of everybody else and to always be worried about what other people are feeling, what other people are thinking, and all the things. And this is all a part of the conditioning that keeps us stuck in a job that's draining us, in a job that's making us feel overwhelmed, stressed, anxious all the time, and that's making us care more about what people think than our own happiness. So this is deep, like this is deep-seated systemic conditioning, and it's nothing wrong with you for caring and for worrying about what people will think about your decision. But the goal is to get to a place where you're so confident about your decision to walk away from nursing, you don't even have to bring it up to other people. Like it might come up naturally, but even if it does, you're able to confidently own your decision. You're able to confidently own the fact that you want to walk away. And this is the place that I'm at now, right? And just the other day, like side note real quick, there was a guy that I was talking to on the phone, and we were like, it was the first phone conversation, so we were kind of getting to know each other. And he asked me like what I did, and I told him I help nurses transition out of nursing into entrepreneurship. And he asked me, did I used to be a nurse? And I told him, and we talked about it. And he was like, oh, you walked away, you walked away from all that money, like ha ha ha, laughing and joking about it. But I made it clear that no amount of money was worth my sanity, was worth my health. So I really had to make the hard decision for me, in spite of what people might think about it. In spite of everybody being super proud of me for getting into nursing and becoming a nurse, like in spite of all of that, I had to choose me. So I want to talk about what it costs you to stay. If you know deep down in your heart, like you feel like it's time for you to walk away from nursing, but you're forcing yourself to stay in the role because of the reasons that you're convincing yourself. So if you're telling yourself it's for the money, if you're telling yourself it's because, if you feel like it's because you're afraid to get out of your comfort zone, if you feel like you're afraid to try something new, if you have this fear, this deep unconscious fear about what people think, if you are staying in this profession out of guilt, out of fear, or out of shame, which are some of the emotions that come up when you're going through this process, if you are guilting yourself into staying, if you are allowing others to guilt you and to instill fear within you, and allowing others to persuade your decision, and if you're forcing yourself to stay, even though you know in your heart that it's time for you to do something else, that is taking a major toll on you mentally, physically, emotionally, in every single way, because it's not allowing you to trust your gut and to trust yourself. So every time you ignore those nudges or you ignore that intuition that's telling you that it's time to try something new, you're subconsciously telling yourself that you don't trust yourself enough to follow that. You don't trust yourself enough to follow that little voice and to see why it's even there in the first place. Instead, you're continuing to silence it. You're continuing to silence it, and it's taking a major toll on you physically, mentally, and emotionally. When you do this, you build up resentment within yourself towards yourself because you feel like it's time to let go, but you're holding on out of fear. You're holding on out of guilt or shame. You're holding on out of the fear of what people might think. You're holding on out of the fear of what you'll think or what you'll have to go through and experience when you decide to walk away from nursing. So you're experiencing the resentment, you experience the burnout, you experience a numbness because you're numbing your emotions, you're numbing how you really feel. And so all of that is adding up and it's taking a toll on you. It's making you more tired because you have this on the fence energy and this indecisiveness that you're going through, which is only causing you to feel stressed, is only causing you to feel anxious and overwhelmed. You also most likely are facing identity confusion because you went to school to become a nurse. So it's like, okay, outside of nursing, who am I? What do I do outside of nursing? Who do I become? Who am I if I'm not a nurse? Who am I outside of my profession? And that identity confusion is real. Okay? It's so real. But you're not allowing yourself to explore who you could be outside of being a nurse. So that just feels like inner conflict, inner tension, and inner turmoil that is constantly building up and building up and building up. And I can talk about this with such detail because I was there, like I was her. So I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like. And it's not a good place to be in when you are straddling on the fence between knowing that you are done with the profession and knowing that you don't want to do this anymore, but holding yourself back out of fear of what people might think or fear of other people judging you for wanting to walk away from nursing. So I want you to reflect on this question. What is the cost of you forcing yourself to stay? What is it costing you to stay? What is it costing you to stay in a profession that you feel like you've outgrown? What is it costing you to stay in a profession that you experience constant burnout cycles in? What is it costing you to stay in a profession that's contributing to the anxiety, the overwhelm, the stress, and the fatigue? What is it costing you to stay? What version of you is it costing you? Like, what version are you not becoming or holding yourself back from becoming by staying where you know you've outgrown, by staying somewhere that you don't really want to be? What is it costing you? Once you own your decision and you allow yourself to move past the fear, and you really allow yourself to confidently and fully own and trust your decision to walk away from nursing, once you get there, there's this freedom, this liberation that happens, and this feeling of really not caring about what other people think about what you do with the decisions, with your life, and with the decisions that you make in your life. It's just a different feeling. It's a different feeling when you allow yourself to color outside the box or step into a different path that doesn't look like the original path that you chose. It's a different feeling when you allow yourself to take a detour to something that feels more aligned. It's just different. So there's this freedom of learning to choose yourself and learning to trust yourself, learning to take pride in your choices and your decisions, and to stand 10 toes down in your decision, and to not care about what people think about that. It's your life for a reason. They are not living in your shoes. They are not showing up, clocking in for your shifts. And they are not dealing with the emotional turmoil that is happening as a result of you continuing to stay in something that you know you don't want to be a part of anymore. So with this freedom comes a completely new identity for yourself, because you now stepped into the version of you who trusts herself, who chooses herself, who honors herself and her energy, and who allows herself to just try something different, who allows herself to take the next step without knowing every single detail, who allows herself to color outside the lines, who allows herself to choose a different path. It's such a beautiful journey. I want you to think about it like this. When you really own your decision to confidently walk away from nursing, you are not leaving nursing behind, right? There are skills that you learn from being a nurse that beautifully align with the path of entrepreneurship and pouring those things into something that feels more aligned for you. So you're not just leaving nursing. Like, you're literally coming back home to yourself, and you're exploring like who you really are outside of the scrubs, the badges, outside of the demanding shifts, outside of your patients, your team, like outside of all of that. Once I let go of other people's opinions of what it was that I decided to do with my life, things completely shifted for me internally. I was able to heal deeply from all the trauma that I picked up along the journey of being a nurse. Like, I was no longer forcing myself to be in that role. So then I was able to see who I was outside of that, to learn more about myself, to learn who I was outside of like the people pleasing and the self-sacrifice and all that, to learn who I was outside of choosing other people's opinions or judgments over my own. I learned so much about myself. I healed so deeply, and I literally became me, who I have always been meant to be. And it's so beautiful because nursing, it's not something bad. Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm ever talking down on nursing. It's simply a part of the journey that shows us more about who we are and who we want to be and who we don't want to be. And my journey just happened to lead me to the version of myself that I really wanted to start becoming. And it's such a beautiful journey when you just allow yourself to have that, when you allow yourself to explore and to play and color outside the lines or outside the box of what's expected of you. That's boring. It's boring to have to always do what people expect of you, especially when you don't really want to be doing those things. Believe me, I've took the traditional route. I've been like the good girl, perfect, not perfect, but trying to be perfect. You know, the straight A's, the excellent student, all the things. Yes, it's a part of my story and my journey. And it also helped me come home to myself and realize that I'm also messy. I'm also I'm perfectly imperfect. If any of the things that I spoke about resonated with you in this video and you're ready to go deeper, like you're ready to go deeper and dive deeper into this healing journey, I want to invite you to a free masterclass that I'm creating where I'll walk you through what this journey looked like for me. The emotional and the mental mindset shifts that helped me to break out of burnout and to help me break out of my role of the nurse into a more aligned path and version of myself, and what it could look like for you if you want to take that journey too. If you are somebody like you want to walk away from nursing, I'm ready, sign me up. So I have a program coming soon that's literally designed to help you go from that burnt out nurse who feels stuck, who feels guilty for wanting to leave nursing, into the woman who confidently owns her decision to walk away with clear next steps into her entrepreneurship path. So check the description for the training and for more info. If you don't see anything about it yet, it's still in the works. But you are not broken. You are not stuck. There's nothing wrong with you for wanting to leave nursing. You're just ready to step into that next chapter and that next version of yourself. And I would be honored to help you walk through that process. So if that sounds like something that you into and something that has to happen in this season for you, then subscribe to my channel, like this video, and liking helps push the video in the algorithm and for it to get in front of other nurses who feel this way. And even if you know a nurse who feels this way, send it to her. That's all I have for you in this video. Let me know what resonated with you the most and what your key takeaway was. And if you answered the question that I had in the middle of the video, let me know your responses below. If you got any questions, you want to share your personal experience, definitely put it down in the comments. And I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.